Good morning, everybody. And the other side. Lee circles. And reverse. And shoe circles. And reverse. And pin circles. And reverse. And reverse. And reverse. Okay, you can put away your sticks. Okay, before we go on with any more exercises, I wanted Annie to share a story with you guys. Some of you may have heard this already, but it's actually a really important story for a couple of reasons. It's important because of the principle that has discovered and is going to point out. It's also important because it marks a milestone in Annie's evolution in Taiji and Qigong. And this is, uh, milestones like this are always very individual. And yet, when you start talking with other people, you find out, oh, well, they've gone through something very similar in their own way. So this is a good chance to listen to somebody's real life adventure and begin to pick up some pointers. So Annie, take the floor.
I'll keep this short. I think that, of course, I've been told all this information before. I already knew this. He had said these things so many times. But I just didn't rock it. I just didn't get it at a deep level. I was recently sitting on the back porch doing some meditation, and I'm a visual artist, so I use language, but my language will often be just images in my third eye. And so I was sitting there meditating on the Danshan, just trying to experience it, understand it, discover it. And I realized in my mind's eye that I visualize the Danshan and I relate to the Danshan, my center, as though it was a sphere floating in space, a bright yellow sphere floating in space. And I immediately understood that that image was incomplete, was really not the whole story. And I realized that that ball was only one of many balls, and that in order to really feel grounded, I had to connect that center ball with my feet, with the ground, and get connected. And of course, I knew all about the horse stance and the arch and the energy and the way that all moves, and I understood it intellectually. I seriously understood it intellectually, but I never really understood how I was limiting myself by the way that I related to it. It is not a ball spinning, floating in space. I mean, it can have that characteristics, but that's not all it is. And so that was really, really important to me. And in my mind's eye, I immediately changed that image to a arched triangle with three big balls of energy. And that completely changed the way that I was experiencing my body. And then later that afternoon, when the sun went down, I was out in the backyard doing some work with the push. What do you call it? Wheelbarrow. Yeah, thank you, darling, for that word. With the wheelbarrow, and it was really loaded. I had a whole bunch of dirt in it, and so I had to pick it up and move it across the yard. And I was just like, oh my God, there it is. All three of the balls were activated.
How did it change how you handled the wheelbarrow?
Um, I was just much more aware of those three balls and the wheel.
The ball of the wheel, the wheelbarrow,
yes,
which is the wheel.
Exactly, and I was experiencing it more like a ball of energy.
Yeah.
The feet were lit up, in my language.
Yeah.
This was lit up.
Right.
But my Mingman was also lit up, and I just felt really, really grounded and really, really sturdy.
Uh-huh.
And this morning, when we were experiencing the stick, I was bringing all of that in, and experiencing those movements in a much, much deeper way, much more rounded way, much more activated way.
Oh, okay, a couple of questions. So when you were doing the wheelbarrow, which we used to use a wheelbarrow in the studio in San Francisco, as a way to teach people that they actually already knew
have it. If
a
you
lot
can
more
ride a
than they,
bike,
you know more than you know,
yeah.
but it's a matter of bringing it into context. So when you were doing the wheelbarrow and you feel your Dan Qian lighting up, your Ming Men lighting up, at the bottom of the feet, the big acupuncture point is called the Yun Xuan, and that means the bubbling well. Right? That's the artesian springs through which yin qi bubbles up into the body.
Yeah, you can feel it.
And you can feel it. And then there was, in essence, another Danshan in the wheelbarrow,
Yeah,
in the axle of the wheel.
yeah.
Did you feel all five of those
At the
as a
same
single system?
Yes, yeah,
And did that
Yeah.
give you more control over the wheelbarrow?
Yeah.
Exactly.
yeah. No,
Sen-
it's tiny. What I experience relative to, the progress that I need to make, it was really tiny. But I thought it was really, really important. And for me, as a visual artist, one of the most important things was my shift in perspective. And now when I work on the Danshan, I work on it in a different symbol. It has a different symbol
instead
for
of
me.
just
Yeah.
floating in space.
Because symbols to me are alive.
Yeah.
They are keys.
Yes.
They're actually keyholes
Yeah.
in some ways.
Yes. Yes.
Anyway.
Exactly. So a couple of thoughts. One is Annie's experience was 100% real. I can say that from many years of experience and listening to other people's discussions of what they do. Second point, Master Zhang used to say all the time, I mean, I must have heard him say this 20 times every year over the years. He would say, you will learn more from your classmates, or you will learn as much from your classmates as you will ever learn from me. And this is a perfect example of this. In discussion, by comparing notes with each other, it opens up possibilities that maybe you're ready for, but you haven't quite thought. So it may spark the flame that is lighted in Annie may spark a flame in you. That's really what sharing really is. And yeah.
Nothing. I'm just always amazed at how slow and dense we are.
Well, I guess it depends on how you look at it. From one side, we're slow and dense. From the other side, we're brilliant. We're fast and brilliant. But pay attention to these stories that you share with each other. This is a big part of what Master Zhang used to mean when he said, use your imagination. Now, Annie was calling it perception, and I forget the other words you were using. You can use all those words, but what's important is that you play with this stuff and think about it and go, what if? What if? What Annie said at the beginning is exactly right. I had told her these things 100 times.
For almost 15 years.
For 15 years. But it just didn't percolate through. And
I didn't understand how I was limiting.
Exactly. You don't understand what you don't understand. Yeah. And so you're limited in that way. But if you just keep, gently cultivating the ground, eventually you'll get to the point where something will light up in your head and you'll go, oh, he wasn't just kidding, he really meant pay attention to the ground. I've told you the story of my own uh, the day in my Tai Chi career when I had my biggest breakthrough. And one of the things I walked away with was Master Zhang had told me the same thing
So
100 times
many
before, but I just wasn't ready to hear it. Right? I wasn't ready. It's not that I didn't understand what he was saying, but it's like I didn't really absorb it. I didn't really eat it in some way. And somehow that day I was ready and he used exactly the right words and I was in the right mood for it. The pieces all came together and it was like a whole new door opened up.
I was chewing on, well, why did it take so long? And I think one of the threads that I started pulling on was um, my being willing to make a deeper commitment to myself and to this practice.
In other words, you're more serious.
Yes, I'm more
Yes.
serious.
Yeah. Yes.
That the veil, the impediment was actually that.
Yeah. Well, this is getting into a whole other thing,
Well, maybe
but it's
we should
absolutely
save it for
no. It's okay. This is absolutely true. Annie can tell you when I started with Master Zhang, for the first 2 years, I went to classes. I went to all the classes, but I did not practice outside of class. I mean, tiny little bit. I just didn't. And after 2 years, I've told you this before, something in my head went, well, you know, if you're going to do this, then just do it. All right?
Show up.
Show up. Be serious about it. And it changes your relationship with the practice. Not just the practice as a tradition independent of you, but the practice as a reflection of who and what you are.
Yeah, and embedded in you.
Yeah, it is you.
It is.
It's the you you're watching in reflection. And if you're not really serious about it, you'll only go an inch deep. If you get more serious about it, you will go deeper. And it doesn't matter that it's Tai Chi and Qigong. It could be music, could be art, could be mathematics, whatever it is you're doing. But it is absolutely true in Tai Chi and Qigong. And this is a perfect example. Now, Annie described this as not a big thing, and I know what she means. You don't want to make this into a big monument and then worship it or something. It's just a milestone along the way, and you will keep going, and there will be other milestones. But actually, it is a really big thing.
I just feel a little less stuck.
Yeah, she's described this as feeling less stuck, and also actually now grounded.
Yeah.
Where before she felt like she was floating, and her imaginary symbols of the Danshan as a floating. Well, that's not wrong.
No,
You know, it's not right. It's incomplete.
Yeah.
Right? What completes it is feeling the ground underneath your feet and understanding that's an arch. It's one thing. All right. Now let's go on into some practices. Right. A really simple practice. The right foot, the left foot. Right. Use your hands. Right? All the way down to the bottom of your foot. Bottom of the foot. Take your time. Bottom of the foot. So in the United States, at least, and I suspect in most other places too, there are certain prejudices that we have about our bodies, prejudgments, and they're invisible because we're not conscious of them. One of them is we're always in a hurry. We're always in a hurry to go to the next place. That's really true in the United States. I don't know if it's true in France. Is it true in France? Yes. Catherine says yes. We're always going somewhere. We're never where we actually are. We're always going somewhere else.
Yes, we're doing.
We're
not
going
human
somewhere.
beings, we're human doings.
And this is so deep in the body and in the mind that we don't see it. This is an exercise in becoming aware of that and beginning to practice true patience. And it's more just than patience. It's paying attention to your chi. It goes all the way down to the bottom of your foot. You can feel it. It's going to go down like sand in the hourglass, like water through your leg. And you're going to feel it. When it hits the bottom of your feet, you'll feel it. Wait. Wait until it hits the bottom of your foot before you go to the other side. Go all the way down. Oh, boom, there it touched. Now go. Right, and down on the other side. Boom, right, and now up again. Take your time. It doesn't matter how much time it takes. And the other side. Now, meditate. Meditate on those 3 points. Just feel those 3 points. So there is a line in the Tao Te Ching, and I'm going to paraphrase it in my own language. The still is the master of unrest. The still is the master of unrest. That's not metaphoric. That's just a straight ahead description. What is quiet and still masters what is moving. The still is the master of unrest. What is quiet comes before the noise of movement. This is why the primary exercise in Tai Chi and Qigong is meditation. It's about stopping,
Stillness.
finding the stillness inside. And that sounds so easy. But our whole lives are dedicated to movement. And the Tai Chi form and all the exercise, it's move, 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 move. And yet all of it rests on stillness. So Master Feng used to say, Huanyan Tai Chi has both stillness and movement, but it gives precedence to stillness. And Annie's meditation that she just described is a perfect example of how creative stillness actually is. She's meditating, and all this stuff happened. And my guess is it happened pretty quickly, didn't it?
Oh, like that.
It was like that. Because she was ready. The truth is, most people, including the people in this room, in our larger room, are probably floating exactly as Annie said. There's actually a word for it in Tai Chi lingo, duela, means to float. You're floating along. Well, you know, there's nothing really wrong with floating. It's not that that's wrong, it's that it's so incomplete. And one of the things, if we look at the four bodies and think about what happened when Annie made this breakthrough, physically, she got grounded on the earth. And energetically, she got grounded, right? It's not about being in a deep horse stance. You can be in a tall horse stance, but there's a nice round shape here, and your Yun Xuan is actually touching the ground. You're not floating. You're energetically like two magnets. You're connected to the ground. So physically, I'm going to guess Annie would agree with this. Physically, she became quieter. Yes?
Yes.
Energetically, she literally, energetically merged with the ground. All right, this is energy, not the physical body. All right, she's with the ground. Mentally, there's it. Again, I'm going to characterize what happened for her, and she can tell me whether it's right or not. I'm going to guess that mentally it was like a door opening, and suddenly it's like.
Yes, it is. You go into a new room and you have all this other things that are.
You have all this other stuff. I was laughing because I was thinking of a Rumi poem where a spiritual seeker is knocking on the door and it finally opens and he realizes he's been on the inside knocking to get out the whole time, right? It's like a door opening, and suddenly things that you heard about or kind of imagined actually are real. And then spiritually, this is a really important thing. This is a really important step in getting here.
Yeah.
We're all here, but we're not here.
Yeah.
All right. So this is a really important step in just being here and accepting
that you're here.
That you are here,
Yeah.
and you are mortal. All right.
I think I have to give some credit to the sun and to the earth because I've been spending more time outside. I feel like, since 1990, I didn't really have access to outdoor space on a regular basis.
When we lived in Portland before, we were always outside. So Annie was always going up into the gorge and taking these long hikes and et cetera, et cetera. When we moved to San Francisco, we lived inside. Right? We lived inside in our house. We lived inside in our studio. We lived inside in the office, and we lived inside in the car. We really didn't get out very much, except once or twice a year we would go do something. Well, we had a program that we were carrying out. But the truth is, you lose something, and one of the things you lose is direct experience of the sun. And we don't think about those things, but in fact, it's really important. So you should tell them your story about the sun.
Oh, I was amending some soil, and I was on a little stool digging in the earth, and the sun was hitting the back of my head, and all of a sudden, it was like two light bulbs went out, two little mini explosions right here, and it's like, oh my goodness, it's like they got turned on.
Yes.
That's what it felt like.
Yeah, I absolutely believe you. All right, the skull is permeable by part of the radiation from the sun, and it makes a big difference. Yesterday I watched a video by a black woman from Haiti, I think, and very modern, very chic. She's a healer, and she said, my practice is all about helping people with their immune systems. And she said there are three problems, and she mentioned a couple of them. The third one was we don't get enough sun. We don't get sun on our body and on our heads. And we pay a price for that. All right? Anyway, is this a little thing? Yes, it's a little thing, but it's also a really big thing. Let's do a gentle Tai Chi move, all right? From the fourth move. Danchen, bottom of the feet. Try to get yourself in a little bit of a horse stance, all right? The point of this is really to activate this arch, all right? The left foot up to the Danchen, the right foot. The Danchen, the left foot. The Danchen, the right foot. Slow. Feel the energy go down to the bottom of your feet. And reverse. So when we all were practicing with Master Zhang, he would stand on the side and watch us do a form or whatever, and you would hear him exhorting us all the time, constantly. Song, 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 which means relax. What did he mean? Well, song literally means relax. But in Tai Chi lingo, it actually stands in for something else. It stands in for what's called, in English, sinking. Sinking your chi instead of raising your chi. Right? Instead of being a ball that's just sort of floating around, hardly touching the ground, right? You sink your chi into the ground. That's what he meant. Slow down. Take your time. Pay attention to your chi. You can feel it in your body. It's no big mystery. Right? And sink it into the ground. Song, relax, relax. Take your time, relax. Oh, their attention's the ground. Now you can move. And relax, relax, relax. Oh, boom, there it touches the ground. Right? It seems like such a little thing. But think about what it means to raise your chi. I'm just floating along. What is that energetically? It's not typified as good or bad. It's just what it is, right? Right? It's floating along. It's not really being here on this earthly plane, right? It's kind of like, well, I came here, but I'm not really quite committed to being here, right? And well, how do we feel that? What is the emotion? Emotion's not quite the right word. What is the feeling that goes along with that? It's anxiety. Yes, there may be a million reasons that you have some anxiety in the world. But if you just look at it energetically, it's all about the same thing. It's all about being ungrounded and not being still. So rather than pay attention to the story, to the narrative, oh, I'm anxious because of money, or I'm anxious because of relationship, or I'm anxious because of this or that. Okay, all those things are true, right? Let them just be out there. But just pay attention to the energy, the raw energy. If it's ungrounded and kind of anxious, floating around, bopping around, well then why don't you ground it and let it become quiet? Oh, now the anxiety is not there anymore. Because the anxiety is actually just an energy. Right? So, and one very human way of looking at this is you're just letting your energy be here in the world, right? Without being anxious or upset about it. Just, oh, right? Or in meditation, right? Just still. I haven't solved all the problems in the world. I haven't even solved any of the problems in my life. But I can still be quiet. I can still be still. And I can be grounded, and that puts me in a place where I'm no longer a victim to my own anxieties. Where now the horse is not riding me, now I'm riding the horse. Okay, let's do our closing little ceremony. Oh, before we do, starting in June, the summer term is going to start in June. Summer term, what's that?
July.
Oh, I'm sorry, July. Yeah, it's going to start in July. The summer term is always kind of clunky because everybody goes everywhere. But I personally would like to start doing some lessons that I can record and put up on the website. And I want to do that with the beginning Tai Chi form. Those who have been in there, like Catherine, we've spent a lot of time on the first section in this last term. But we're going to spend even more time on it next time. But I want to just go through in a very regular kind of way. So I can send you all the schedule that I've got. It would take 6 months to go through the whole form. So it would take the summer term and the fall term, and we would finish at the end of fall term. What I would like is 3 or 4 people who can sign up for those 6 months and really be here on a regular basis. I'm hoping that Catherine will join us. All right? I'm actually hoping Annie will join us, although I haven't talked with her about it. But think about it. If you can do Saturday and Sunday between now and the new year, jump in on this, and we'll record it and put it up on the website as kind of the right way to do this form the first time through. All right. All right. Do Ling. And touch the earth. And close your pores. Salute our masters and salute your classmates. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you're going to stay for beginning Tai Chi, give me 15 minutes. Otherwise, we'll see you next time. Ciao.